Fairness still belongs to TCL. It's always that same fairness.
In recent years, we've researched hundreds of screens and tested over 100 phones. We published tier rankings with 37.67 million views, rejecting numerous offers from major manufacturers, both overt and covert. None of our phone videos were sponsored. We impartially offended all brands solely for reputation, not for profit. These videos have no financial interest, objectively and fairly informing everyone of the truth, ensuring consumers receive their rightful right to know.
Hello everyone, I'm a big fat guy with only dry goods. It's almost Double 11 again. This year, new flagships from various manufacturers launched much earlier. For everyone's sake, it offers better reference. We're still releasing a more complete, detailed stroboscopic eye protection ranking in this issue on time. Still, my personal strength is always limited. I can't have unlimited opportunities like a manufacturer's internal mouthpiece. Let's just say it is true. First of all, let's talk about why we use strobe as a main factor in the ranking of this eye protection echelon. Strobe is certainly not the only factor in eye protection, but it must be the most important factor. Brightness can be adjusted by the user. Blue light can be mitigated by adjusting the yellow screen, but the strobe can only be used according to the manufacturer's preset. Even articles attempting to whitewash old mobile phones hurting eyes dare not deny this stroboscopic issue. There's probably a bad side. The TV and lighting industries have long had an impact on stroboscopic lighting. Mobile phones, because of their inherent characteristics, are used up close and directly. The impact is even more pronounced. A phone with good stroboscopy might have issues with its luminous material or unreasonable auto brightness. It's not that comfortable to use, but a phone with poor stroboscopy will surely harm those with sensitive eyes. It also affects consistency and uniformity, but it is not as obvious as the previous three, and even with the same phone screen. It may be because they come from different screen manufacturers, even to different batches. This results in differences in uniformity and consistency. Since it is doing echelon ranking, then one factor must be selected to account for the largest proportion, and you can quantify things. And that was strobe. Therefore, LCD mobile phones and ink screen mobile phones will have a significant advantage in this ranking. However, their advantage is also well-deserved. Regarding those who claim OLED phone blue light is superior to LCD phone blue light, and that it compensates for flicker. The problem is, it's not like OLED phones just came out, and massive marketing budgets are distorting the facts. I have tested dozens or hundreds of OLEDs and LCD mobile phones. Please check the detailed test videos on my homepage. It will be clear who is better. If you're watching my video for the first time, if you don't know anything about these, welcome to check out my first stroboscopic science video later. Okay, we'll discuss the rest of the content now. Strobe echelon ranking started. T6 spots are still held by these three old friends, Samsung's S23U and the small foldable Z Flip 6, featuring extremely high 240Hz PWM flicker throughout. Definitely a flashbang, clearly in a league of its own at the cost of simultaneously reducing your eye's health and maximum health. From this, you can also see that expensive doesn't always mean good for your eyes. Samsung, the tech giant, while producing OLED screens, also invests heavily in ophthalmology. Their approach also uses T6 technology, and there's the legendary device, the iQOO Neo5. It also features a very high flicker 240Hz PWM. However, because it has a switch to mitigate flicker, it ultimately didn't claim the absolute worst spot. Next up is T5, the hub for top-tier LTPO screens from major international brands like the Samsung S24 series. The Samsung S25 series and Apple's 14 Pro, 14 Pro Max, 15 Pro, 15 Pro Max, 16 Pro, 16 Pro Max, 17, 17 Pro, and 17 Pro Max models. These three latest 17 series, once their new switches are activated, show only a marginal improvement compared to what came before, but they're still T5. All of them firmly remain in place with their significant flicker and low-frequency 480Hz PWM. The colors look comfortable at first glance, but for those with sensitive eyes, prolonged use, especially indoors, can easily lead to minor issues like tear inflammation, or major ones like flash myopia. Of course, the T5 also has some issues seen in high-end domestic phones from a few years ago, when PWM flicker was rampant. Phones like the Xiaomi Fold 3, Oppo Find N2, and ROG 9 all performed very poorly. And then we get to all sorts of bizarres of strange dimming T4s. These include the rather old Yola phones, blue-green field phones with triple refresh, SVM, full brightness and ultra-high frequency, Xiaomi A with full-range DC dimming and significant flicker, Apple's basic non-LTPO phones, the utterly messy Red Magic Nubia, and so on. You could say the poor ones each have their own unique flaws, but their common trait is their inadequacy. The old-fashioned low-frequency PWM Vivo S18e, Y200, Apple's low-frequency PWM, but with slightly shallower flicker, the Apple 14, 14 Plus, 15, 15 Plus, 16, 16 Plus, 16e. This year, the professional standard LTPO has also been added, and the Plus models are gone, so naturally there won't be a 17 series. And then there are the blue and green big manufacturers, each with their own humorous directions. The blue factory's humor, they once tried to ditch DC dimming, pairing with Visionox's full brightness PWM, finding designated mouthpieces and using lighting SVM, which the EU explicitly said isn't for phone screens, to whitewash it. But when that didn't work, their new phones brought back normal dimming. Now, while they haven't completely abandoned full brightness ultra high frequency, more and more phones are adopting the normal mode.
In Vivo's T4 lineup, we have the Vivo X100 series, the iQ12 series, an entire range of iQ Neo 9 rebranded devices, the X Fold 3 series, and the iQ Neo 10 Pro Plus. There are also models like the X200 Pro, X200 Pro Mini, iQ13, and X200U, which adopted a more appropriate approach, but their execution still fell short. iQ's latest 15 also failed T4, implementing a non-polarized screen, calling it natural light. Such an anti-intellectual move to hide its poor performance. And these three brands, Green Factory, Fushua, previously championed the SVM theory. Domestically, they specialized in coining terms and hyping up eye protection, even claiming 360 Hz low-frequency PWM was the ultimate solution, previously insisting that C was superior for eye comfort. And before that, when domestic eye protection levels were actually among the worst, at their product launches, they shamelessly and repeatedly claimed to be the #1 in eye protection in the mobile phone industry, and some people actually believed them. Later, when Oppo saw Honor and Xiaomi wouldn't bite, and Vivo stopped pushing SVM, they made a complete U-turn starting with the X8, abandoning the 3-brush and implementing proper DC dimming. This year, the X9 continues this trend, with the X9 Pro even upgrading to LTPO, completely abandoning their original 3-brush technology, which they once claimed was industry-leading. Oh, if you want to distance yourselves from your past, don't forget people have memories. How did you manage to fool everyone back then? Why would they stop making something so powerful? T4 Green Factory phones mostly perform at low brightness. Mediocre, the 2260 mid to high brightness mode is either a poor triple refresh or it's DC-like dimming with huge flicker. Some full brightness DC-like modes also have constant large flicker from high to low brightness. There are also a few oddball inverse main low frequencies. Before, there were many so-called eye protection switches that were actually eye damaging switches. Even I get confused, wondering if it's better to turn them on or off. Such as the OnePlus 12 Pro, Realme GT 5 Pro, OnePlus 12, OnePlus S3, OnePlus S3V, OnePlus S3 Pro, OnePlus S5, OnePlus S5 Pro, Realme GT Neo 6, Realme GT 66 SE, Realme Neo 7, and the Oppo Find X7 Ultra, GT7 Pro, Oppo Find X8 Pro, Oppo X8 Ultra, Oppo Find N5, OnePlus 13T, and there was also the K12s, which at one point had an inventory screen, then the very latest Find X9 Pro. And here, I really want to give a special shout out to OnePlus once more. Their products are getting shoddier and shoddier. They've learned from Honor, throwing money at the latest hype. Say a few words, they'll take your video down directly. Even your dad, Oppo, didn't do this. After receiving national subsidies, you become insufferable. Do they have so much money they don't know where to spend it? Even a brand like Realme, they just honestly produce subpar screens. Even if at low brightness they manage 4608 Hz PWM, the screen flicker is still just as poor. But at the very least, they are still genuinely making phones. Of course, beyond the blue-green major manufacturers, some reputable brands also offer phones that are sucking toothpaste, meaning slow innovation, vintage-style phones, and premium LTPO phones within the T4 category. These include the Redmi Note 14, Xiaomi Fold 4, Xiaomi 14, and the Xiaomi 11 Ultra. Redmi K40, Redmi K50, Xiaomi 15, Xiaomi 14 Pro, Xiaomi 15 Pro, Xiaomi 15S Pro, Xiaomi 17, Xiaomi 17 Pro, Xiaomi 17 Pro, Max, Mix Flip 2. All of them either struggle with their high brightness levels, or they struggle with their low brightness levels, or their display performance is just subpar across the entire range. If you're curious about the specifics, feel free to visit my homepage and search for more. It's the same story for the Red Magic 9 Pro, 10 Pro, and Nubia Z70 Ultra I've tested previously. They seem to be on the right track with DC-like and high-frequency PWM, but unfortunately, they're done terribly, all ranking at the bottom of T4. To all you eye-sensitive folks who need to look down, using T4 and lower phones is the way to go. Stick with them for a long time and increasing your prescription and astigmatism will be a breeze. Next up is T3, which means devices with the correct circuitry offering decent performance or quality. Phones in this category are becoming more and more common and we'll still divide them into T3 upper and T3 lower. Although the Samsung C55 has its common flickering issue, at full brightness, its DC-like dimming is still quite acceptable. T3 downstream Vivo's S18, S18 Pro, S19, S20, S20 Pro, S30, S30 Pro Mini, Vivo X200, X200S, X300, X300 Pro, X Fold, Y300, Y300 Pro, and Y300 Pro Plus. The iQ Neo 10 series, excluding the Neo Pro Plus, has average high and low brightness. Some even have inherited bugs, putting them in the lower T3 tier. Oppo's Reno 12, Reno 12 Pro, and K12 are quite similar. Their high brightness is a bit better, but they're still considered lower tier. The OnePlus 13 has 3 dimming modes, all T4 level, but since there are 3, putting it in T4 feels a bit unfair to it. If we put it in T3, then it feels unfair to T3. Anyway, let's just leave it for now. The new OnePlus 15 can actually, by its performance, be T3 low tier, almost reaching the upper tier. The GT7 is a bit stronger than the OnePlus 4 and can reach T3 low tier status. Honor's second generation V Flip 2 also falls into the T3 downstream category. Oppo A5 Pro and X8s, however, are quite impressive, making it to the T3 upstream tier based on their performance. As for the Oppo K13 Turbo and K13 Turbo Pro, they are positioned in the T3 downstream. The K60U's high brightness performance isn't ideal, but its low brightness features a 2880 Hz PWM, which is sufficient for T3 downstream. The K60U's high brightness DC dimming is excellent and very stable, placing it firmly in T3 upstream.
The cool K701, Redmi Turbo 3, Redmi Turbo 4, Xiaomi CV4 Pro, and the recently released, slightly regressed Redmi K90 Pro Max all have stable high brightness, but their low brightness is just passable. They reach the upper tier of T3, but the CV5 Pro has regressed to the lower tier of T3. I previously placed the K70 and K70 Pro at the very bottom of T2, but these two are more fitting for this range and also belong to the upper tier of T3. Nor's Pro and Pro Plus have a double flicker issue, and their low brightness performance isn't great, placing them in the lower T3 tier. Honor's V2, V3, V5, and Magic 6 don't do well at high brightness, though low brightness is decent, also putting them in the lower T3 tier. Honor's X5 series and Redmi K60 perform similarly, with a better DC light range, firmly positioning them in the upper T3 tier. Vivo Y500 performs a bit better, but still has bugs, placing it in the upper T3 tier. Xiaomi 14U, Honor Magic 7, 7 Pro, 8, 8 Pro, GT Pro, without its LTPO boost, barely reaches the upper T3. For years, I've seen people online say, no phone use is best for your eyes. Honestly, I used to scoff at them, but a colleague later pointed out they might not be looking at their phones, but rather tastefully using our Fi.io hi-fi products to listen to them. For example, the SLP from Fi.io, a high-fidelity, all-purpose sleeping earbud. Its flat head design offers great sound, is comfortable to wear, and is clean and hygienic. The King Kong, starting from 158, is an all-capable tool for content creators, perfect for both entertainment and work. With Pioneer over-ear headphones and the hi-fi set by Dav Dag Jamal for just a few hundred yen, you can experience a true high-fidelity hi-fi over-ear system. You'll be truly immersed in the music, not even wanting to look at your phone. And then we move on to T2. These are all products that have achieved a certain standard following the correct path. They're generally the preferred online phones for those with sensitive eyes, when there are truly no LCD devices available. Now, as the flicker issue is gradually improving, there's also a bit more room for selection. So, eye protection is great, but if the performance is too poor, don't even consider it. Take the Honor X60i and X70i, for instance. Their DC light dimming is excellent, wide-ranging, and stable, with no color gamut shift or flicker issues. Their low brightness levels are 3240 and 3840 respectively, and the flicker is at a top-tier T2 level. However, their chips are absolutely terrible, clearly just an offline scam targeting the elderly. Their performance is even worse than many LCD screens. Honor, as a veteran in eye protection, besides these two phones, the Honor 100 series, 200 series, 300 series, 400 series, the 90 GT, GT Power, X60 GT, and X70, even if some of them have minor bugs, all offer excellent DC dimming and 3840Hz PWM at a T2 level. As old fans know, I used to praise Honor the most because back then, when phone screens were flickering like crazy, I always maintained their strategy was the right path. Minimal flicker, wide-range DC light dimming for high brightness, and high PWM for low brightness. But the funny thing is, most of my deleted videos were reported by Honor. They'd delete my videos just for saying a configuration was bad or the price was too high. So now I no longer call them the eye care big brother, but rather the eye care old lamp. And these so-called eye care displays haven't seen much progress in flicker reduction these past 2 years. Foldable screens and LTPO remain their weak points. It's time they face some pressure. Other brands also have a few models reaching T2 level. Redmi's K80 and K80 Pro, with their best performing full brightness DC, also achieve T2. Their flicker-free advertising is truly disgusting, but there's some truth to it. Redmi Turbo 4 Pro, K80 Ultra, and Nor 15 series, although their DC-like dimming range is a bit small, they still barely make it to T2. Vivo's J9 and J10 series, despite not having perfect performance and having flicker, plus a bug where the color gamut can collapse at any time, have still achieved some results on the right path, also reaching T2 level. The Incheon Eye Care Duma Z series was originally designed for eye protection. After abandoning LCD, it's now following the same correct path as Honor's LTBS. It seems they also know what genuine eye protection truly entails. SVM full brightness ultra high frequency has never once appeared in the Z series. They're all just feigning ignorance, knowing the truth perfectly well. This year's disappointing OnePlus also had two phones reach T2, the newly released OnePlus S6, OnePlus S5 Ultra, and that laughable OnePlus S5 Speed Edition. After Oppo abandoned its opportunistic ways, many phone screen flicker issues greatly improved. The Oppo X8, X9, X8s Plus, Real 13, and Real 14 series are much better than their previous hype. It's true that what you lack, you tend to talk about most, as if that could compensate for your shortcomings. Alright, T2 is done. This is, after all, the 4th ranking video.
Perhaps some new viewers might ask, where's Huawei? Where did Huawei go? Oh, I've actually covered that before, and then I got criticized. People just sent me a video from an up with hundreds of thousands of followers saying, oh, all these popular creators with so many fans say the screen is good. Who are you to claim there's a problem? Oh, and this is well-founded. There's also a bunch of DMs and comments directly attacking me personally. Oh, I know these extreme fans are certainly not a widespread phenomenon, but you can ask me to spend money. Besides this, I've already put in hundreds of thousands, right? Or you can have me endure insults, that's also fine. But making me spend money and endure insults, that's where I draw the line. That's why I've said before, if some Huawei fans are truly curious about a certain Huawei phone's performance, they should offer to send it for free testing. But so far, not a single one has come forward. Perhaps they don't really care. As a Chinese citizen, I certainly hope Huawei keeps improving. But if they also address the screen flickering issue and learn from Honor, that would be even better. After all, with so many series, dedicating one or two to enhanced eye protection wouldn't be a bad thing.
Alright, next is T1, which is the LCD phone. As long as it's qualified, there will basically be no screen flickering issues.
Typically, older LCD phones and more expensive business LCD phones, their screen display quality might be somewhat better, but only if you happen to get a good panel. Models like the Honor X10, Honor X10 Max, Honor X30 Max, Honor V30 Pro, Apple's 8 series, Apple's 11, and the Huawei Mate 10, among others, all feature quite good LCD screens. Among them, the most well-known is the Honor V30 Pro. The phone is quite good, but most on the market use a 6-sub-pixel hybrid, and the average visual quality might even be worse than other LCDs. So if you're happy with the display, there's no real need to chase older screens for a minor improvement. We also tested quite a few older LCD screens some time ago, like HC U11, U11 Plus, U12 Plus, iPhone 8 Plus, 6S Plus, 6 Plus, Xiaomi No. 1 2022, and foreign LCD Cool Plus Max 5, and so on. Although some showed obvious screen flickering at ultra-high shutter speeds, they were still much better than the best current OLED phones. Viewers who own these phones can go find that episode's video and watch it. And then there are some phones that are neither brand new nor very old, such as the Redmi 11T Pro, the Oppo K10, the Honor X40 GT, the Vivo Z9X, Z8, Z8X, and the OnePlus Ace Racing. And then there are devices like the TCL Next Paper Series and the TCL P10, which look like e-ink screens but are actually LCD phones. Unless the visual experience is completely unacceptable, for example, I personally cannot stand the lagging display of my T12 Pro, otherwise they are perfectly fine. Plus, if it's just a backup phone for scrolling short videos before bed, it's actually quite enough. After all, even if the colors aren't perfect, you won't notice once eye protection mode is on. However, if it's a main phone, there are indeed too few choices. The Z8 and 12T Pro's specs are just okay, but their batteries are already past their prime. The Y30T has a bigger battery, but its performance is worse than before, so it's just enough for daily use. I don't know when LCD phones' performance will return to the Dimensity 8200 level. Even though manufacturers don't get along, when it comes to preventing LCD keeper phones and keeping people from realizing LCD is more eye-friendly than OLED, and that LCD can have narrow bezels and under-display fingerprints, they cooperate seamlessly. Finally, the ultimate choice is still an e-ink phone. As long as the backlight is off, there's absolutely no screen flicker at all. However, its colors and weak chip, well, are truly not for everyone. But as long as this product exists, T0 will surely be its. Up to this point, the models I've tested these past few years are basically all here, entirely self-funded, with no manufacturer ever investing a single penny. But my capabilities are indeed limited. I couldn't get special access. I can only say I truly did my best. If there are any devices that recently got silent OTA updates, for better or worse, that we missed, please, everyone, do let me know. The Realme GT8 series and Motorola G100 have also been purchased, but haven't arrived yet. I'll add them when they do, so please look forward to it. From what we've seen recently, OLED's new phone's eye protection, although still advancing in waves and spiraling upwards, is continuously improving overall. However, the speed of this improving trend has noticeably slowed down. Furthermore, blue light levels are steadily getting worse, yet only the various blue light certifications keep upgrading. I'm not sure if they've truly hit a bottleneck or if they simply believe they've done well enough. The only constant is the endless variety of models and unscrupulous, differentiated eye protection advertising. This makes it impossible for most ordinary users who don't really understand these things to choose an eye protective phone that suits them based on manufacturers' claims. Oh dear, unless there are legislative changes, there's probably no other solution. Whether companies are doing poorly and need a hard push or doing well and need a push to excel, I still hope they can actually deliver better, more advanced products. I hope that in the future, OLED phone screen flickering will improve, LCD can return to its peak, blue light will be controlled, and automatic brightness will become more accurate, giving everyone more and better choices. It's no longer just mindless marketing. First, let's focus on getting the fundamentals right so that everyone can choose a mobile phone that truly suits their own needs. It's about protecting the eyes of adults, and even more so, the eyes of the vast, more vulnerable youth and the elderly. My name is Da Pang, a game review creator who specifically focuses on eye protection. This video was truly not easy to make. Normally, I wouldn't ask for anything, but seeing all of you, my dear viewers, today, please bother to give a like or two so it can reach more people who need it. We'll see you next time.